Hello everybody, I am Dr. M. Jayaprakash Vel, Associate Professor in the Department of Marine Biotechnology. In this lecture, I would like to provide you the basic aspects of one of the most important topic, which is called as quorum sensing. Actually, quorum sensing is a cell-to-cell communication among the bacterial organisms. Bacteria are thought to be prokaryotic organisms, which are long been discussed as very primitive organisms with very few cell organelles and very few functionals. But still, like higher order organisms, bacteria also communicate among themselves. So, that communication is now termed scientifically as quorum sensing. Quorum means a particular population. Sensing, the bacteria senses its own population is called as quorum sensing. So, it is a group of bacterial communication, that is what termed as quorum sensing. So, we all know that bacteria are unicellular organisms, they are existing in single cell forms, they are very smaller in size and they are very diverse and abundant in nature. They have very few cell organelles, I will come to this later, and they have a wide variety of biological functions. Whatever the biological functions known so far, bacteria are capable of operating the function. The unicellular form of bacteria, they lack most of the cell organelles with reference to other counterparts, that is eukaryotic organisms. They lack true nucleus, instead they have nuclei. They do not have the important cell organelles such as mitochondria or chloroplast or Golgi apparatus or even endoplasmic reticulum. But very interestingly, without these organelles also, bacteria are capable of doing the functions of whatever the organelles are doing. So, they are capable of doing these functions without these organelles. They are very simple in structure and organization, as well as biological function is very wide in nature. When we talk about the size of the bacteria, bacteria are normally said to be microscopic in nature. Their size will always be in microns. Usually, the bacterial size will be around average bacterial cell size will be around 4.5 micron. The smallest bacterium is Haemophilus influenza, which is 1.2 micron in size. When come to the largest microorganisms, the textbook are saying that Epilophisium fischelsoni is the largest bacterium, which is 600 micrometer, that is more than a half millimeter size. But recently people have found, especially the marine biologists have found a bacterium which is named as Thiomargarita namibiensis. It is a marine bacterium found in the seawater, which has a size of 750 micrometers. That means it is very closer to 1 millimeter. So, it can sometimes be even seen through naked eyes also, but the other bacteria cannot be seen through naked eyes, they can be seen only with the help of microscopes. So, bacteria are very smaller in size. With reference to the diversity and abundancy of bacterial organisms in nature, we have plenty of types of bacteria in different forms, cellular arrangements. For example, you have coccus shaped, that means spherical shaped organisms, rod shaped organisms we have, and we also have spiral shaped bacteria also there in the nature. And while talking about the abundancy, there are about 40 million bacterial cells present in a single gram of soil. Similarly, 1 million bacterial cells are present in a milliliter of water. So, that much is the abundancy of bacterial organisms in the nature. So, they are existing in different formats also. With reference to the microbial organisms metabolic diversity, most of the organisms are organotrophs. That means they they sequester their energy nutrition requirements from the organic compounds. Some are lithotrophs and some are phototrophs. Phototrophs means they can generate their own food material through photosynthesis process like plants and algae. Similarly, the bacterial organisms, they are capable of fixing the atmospheric nitrogen, they are capable of degrading the xenobiotics, they can able to do the metal recovery, they are involved in the recovery of oils, and they also produce various antibiotics which are life saving in nature, and they are also producing very many drugs, and they are extensively used in the biotechnology industry, and sometimes and most of the times bacteria also causes diseases. So, there are pathogenic organisms are also available. Likewise, the beneficial organisms available in nature. We human beings are communicating with each other, the higher order organisms are communicating with each other through various languages. We speak French, we speak Tamil, English, Hindi, Spanish, so many languages are there. Likewise, the animals are also having some verbal, not they don't, even though they don't have any verbal communication, they also have a kind of communication by making some noises and some gestures. So these higher order organisms are having some way of communication with each other. But people have long been thought that the very simplest organisms like a bacteria, which are existing in unicellular format, don't have any communication system. They don't communicate with each other, but it is not the fact. People have found in the late 1970s that bacteria also can communicate with each other. So they communicate in a manner that each and every cell interacts with each other and communicates its presence. So this cell to cell communication is the one which is called as quorum sensing. That is what we are going to see in this lecture. Before going into the actual topic, I would like to relate a coincidence while I was doing PhD, where I got interested as well as where I got knowledge of quorum sensing. So I would like to explain the background of how I developed the interest in bacterial quorum sensing. So I was working on rice plant, especially on the biological control of plant disease, which is called as sheath blight. It is one of the most devastating rice diseases, which causes almost 70% of yield loss. So our routine aim is to isolate bacteria from various natural sources, including the root system of rice. So we have been isolating almost more than 2000 bacteria, and we have screened all these bacteria for the antifungal activity against the pathogen which is causing the sheath blight disease, that is Rhizotonia solanae. Rhizotonia solanae is the most serious soil borne pathogen. So this is our usual duty, and we have been concentrating mostly on two bacteria, that is fluorescent Pseudomonas as well as Bacillus. So the fluorescent Pseudomonas are capable of producing fluorescence when they are kept under a illuminated UV light source. During the course of study, I found that there are two bacteria which were named as MML 20705 and 706, were having one interesting phenomena. They were when they were streaked at a very close distance, their amount of light which is emitting from the fluorescence was more, the intensity of fluorescence was more. But when they are kept aside, that means the distance is streaking distance is enhanced, the fluorescence is not that much bright. We have also tested the antifungal activity of these two bacteria by streaking at close distance as well as by streaking at a little long distance, that means 1 centimeter and 1.5 centimeter and 0.5 centimeter. So we found that when these bacteria are streaked close together, they have a more antifungal activity than when they are streaked at 1.5 centimeter. So we judged there should be a cell to cell communication among these two organisms. So that is what we have found in the liquid cultures also, that when these bacteria are grown together, they have enhanced fluorescence. So we have also looked into the molecule which is responsible for the enhanced fluorescence, and we found that an RF value of 4.1 and 6.2 compound, which is closely related to lactones, was the responsibility for this kind of enhanced fluorescence when these two organisms are kept close together in a growth medium. So this is what we found as the quorum sensing. That means the bacteria, the single cellular bacteria are communicating with each other. Both of the bacteria were Pseudomonas only. So they have a communication among each of them. So that is what this bacterial language is all about. So academically, the bacterial quorum sensing is defined as bacteria monitor the presence of other bacteria in their surroundings by producing and responding to signaling molecules which are called as autoinducers to exhibit certain phenotypes. It is simply the coordinated expression of certain phenotypes in the bacteria. Not all bacteria are operating the quorum sensing system, but only very few bacteria are operating the quorum sensing system. And more importantly, not all phenotypes are controlled by this bacterial cell to cell communication, but still very few selected phenotypes or selected behavioral aspects only are controlled by quorum sensing. So, this quorum sensing is not a quite new subject. People have worked very long back in the early 1968 itself. The researchers have isolated the bioluminescence bacteria, and they have found that the bioluminescence was due to the quorum sensing only. In 1981 itself, they have isolated the gene which is responsible for the production of these autoinducers and which is responsible for the production of this enhanced bioluminescence. Like previously told, quorum sensing is not operated in all bacteria and not regulating all the bacterial phenotypes. They regulate certain phenotypes, for example, conjugation, antibiotics production, extracellular enzyme production, nodulation, growth phase maintenance, swarming motility, biofilm formation, exopolysaccharide and bioluminescence. The Agrobacterium tumefaciens, one of the important soil bacteria, is involving in the conjugation process only through the quorum sensing system. Similarly, the Pseudomonas genus comprising of various species are also producing antibiotics in response to quorum sensing. Rhizobium species makes the nodulation process with the help of quorum sensing. And some of the plant pathogenic bacteria, for example, Erwinia, they cause plant diseases by the production of extracellular enzymes and by producing some of the antibiotics to eliminate other bacteria only through this quorum sensing. And this swarming motility is one of the interesting one of the interesting phenomena in microbiology, where the bacteria move in solid surfaces. So, this swarming motility is found in Serratia, Aeromonas and Protease, is also controlled by quorum sensing. And the last one is the most important one, most important phenomena which is being controlled by quorum sensing, that is biofilm formation. Biofilms are very notorious and very challenging aspect in both industry and medical aspects. The biofilms cannot be very easily treated or cured when they are found in the industrial systems or medical devices. Again, bioluminescence of Vibrio harvii is controlled by quorum sensing, and exopolysaccharide production in Pantova bacteria also controlled by quorum sensing. So, these are some of the examples where the phenotypes of bacteria are regulated by both gram positive and gram negative bacterial quorum sensing. Its lists are listed as plasmid conjugation, antibiotic production, symbiosis, biofilm formation, bacterial virulence, exopolysaccharide production, host pathogen interaction, bioluminescence, genetic competency, competency for DNA uptake and virulence factors. I would like to relate the bacterial quorum sensing with a common phenomena called mob psychology. Mob psychology means people when they are in a group, they behave differently. People when they are in isolated or individual, they do not behave that much aggressive or that much over expressive. For example, a group of people around 30 or 40 people, when they are going to a cinema hall or a sports stadium, their behavior will be over expressive. They will be in a much elated mood and they express their feelings very happily and very boldly, and so this is called as mob psychology. Similarly, bacteria also follows the quorum sensing, a kind of mob psychology. They look whether their kind of bacteria, for example, if it is Pseudomonas fluorescens, it senses whether the other Pseudomonas fluorescens, same species of bacteria are there in good number or less number. So, this is the sensing of quorum. So, this sensing is done only through the production of autoinducers, that is signaling molecules. They produce signaling molecules. The concentration of the concentration of autoinducers directly reflects the population of the bacteria in a particular environment. So, the bacteria senses the concentration of the autoinducers. If the concentration of the autoinducer are more, they sense that their bacteria are more in number and they are in larger population, then they will express certain phenotypes. For example, the bacteria called as Vibrio cholerae, they are not capable of causing cholera, that is dysentery, when they are in small numbers, for example, hundreds or thousands in number. When they are hundreds and thousands in number, they cannot, even though they can able to produce toxins and even though they are very virulent in nature, they cannot cause the intestinal disturbance and cause the diarrhea or dysentery. But still, when they are in a higher number, for example, in million number, then they all together express the phenotype of production of toxin. Then they can able to they can able to block the innate immunity of the human being and cause the disease. So, the bacteria senses the presence of their own population through the production of autoinducers and they cause the disease at once. So, when they are in good numbers, for example, in millions in numbers, they produce the toxins at once. For example, the Vibrio cholera, when they are in millions in number, they produce the toxins at once and they cause the disease very firmly. So, this is the background of quorum sensing. So, this quorum sensing, like it is operating the communication among bacteria. The people have studied the genetic background as well as the molecular background of the communication, and now it is made possible in the medical industry. If you block the quorum sensing, you can avoid the disease. Instead of killing the bacteria, if you block the quorum sensing, you can avoid the disease onset. So, this is what called as quorum punching, punching the quorum sensing property of a bacteria. So, nowadays the new drug targets are researched in this way. People are now looking for the molecules which will break down the quorum sensing phenomena of the bacteria, which in any one of the way, the molecules which are able to block the quorum sensing or disturb the quorum sensing, they are having the therapeutic value. So, there are several molecules or several compounds available in nature are now discovered as inhibitors for the quorum sensing. For example, some of the enzymes produced by soil bacteria like lactanoase, they have the ability to break down the lactone molecule of the quorum sensing system and block the quorum sensing. And the enzymes called as acetases also have the ability to degrade the quorum sensing signaling molecules. The pheromones produced by marine macroalgae also have the ability to break down the quorum sensing system. And some of the dietary phytochemicals, for example, which are present in the garlic extracts, are having the ability to degrade the quorum sensing system, like penicillinic acid, patulin and some other uncharacterized compounds from various plants and seaweeds are having the ability to break down the quorum sensing system in several bacteria. So, long been researchers have concluded that the bacterial communications is restricted only within the bacterial species. They do not observe any intra-species communication or cross communication. But later in the recent years, people have found that the plants have some relation, either positively or negatively influencing relation with the quorum sensing organisms. So, plants can produce the structural analogues of autoinducers. So, this is the way the plants can inhibit the quorum sensing, because most of the bacteria which are operating quorum sensing in one way or other way related to the plants. So, plants have found this evasive mechanism to avoid the quorum sensing effect of the bacterium. So, they can produce structural analogues of the autoinducers and thereby they escape from the deleterious effect of the quorum sensing organisms. Plants also can destroy the quorum sensing signals. For example, the strawberry extracts, crude strawberry extract was demonstrated to produce the compounds which are responsible for the degradation of quorum sensing system in a bacteria. Plants can also manipulate the quorum sensing. For example, the quorum sensing negative mutants of Pseudomonas are unaffected by a plant based compound called rosmarinic acid, which is obtained from Arabidopsis plant, experimental plant. Sometimes the plants can able to enhance the quorum sensing system in the bacteria. They produce some of the compounds through their root exudates, and that root exudate compounds are encouraging the bacteria to operate quorum sensing in a particular ecosystem. So, this will also some of the beneficial bacteria which are beneficial to the plants can capitalize this quorum sensing system of the bacteria by producing the promotory compounds for the quorum sensing. So, this is the experiment which is done with the pea plant with the celestial liquefacients has clearly demonstrated that plant enhances the quorum sensing in bacteria. So, this is our study. We have also found that the rice root exudates inhibited the antagonistic potential of biocontrol agents, especially the Pseudomonas fluorescens. Quorum sensing is not only an academically interesting field and not only a research wise interesting field, it is also having very many practical applications. So, the quorum sensing and quorum quenching principle can be applied for creating therapeutic targets. They are able to cure the industrial biofilms, they are involved in the production of biosensors, they are also involved in the disease control of aquaculture and disease control in agriculture, and they have environmental applications such as detection of pollutants and detection of pathogens. So, quorum sensing system as well as quorum quenching system among the bacteria can be applied in various fields of study. The quorum sensing based electronic circuit system were used in the production of biochemicals, tissue engineering, mixture species fermentation, detection of environmental pollution as well as detection of pathogens. The quorum sensing has also been used to produce engineered bacteria capable of attacking cancer cells. So, they are used in the cancer therapy also. The quorum sensing and quorum quenching lies in the designing of transgenic plants. Transgenic plants also designed using this approach. Disruption of quorum sensing is now considered as a viable strategy for preventing the formation of harmful biofilms in membrane bioreactors as well as in the marine transportation. They can be even applied to control the marine biofouling. Research is advancing in this area. To sum up, I would like to say that quorum sensing is a very natural phenomenon found in bacteria, and it is a molecular communication among bacteria. It regulates various phenotypes in bacteria. The quorum quenching blocks the quorum sensing system in the bacteria. Both quorum sensing and quorum quenching have applications in medical, industry, aquaculture, agriculture and environmental safety. So, the research is still going on in the quorum sensing field to bring it into many other practical applications and to understand more precisely the exact science of quorum sensing as well as quorum sensing still going on. So, with this background of quorum sensing principle, that is cell to cell communication among bacteria, I would like to relate this with another one interesting biological phenomenon, that is called as endosymbiont theory. According to this theory, the chloroplast as well as mitochondria are thought to have evolved from the bacterial ancestors. The theory says that some of the bacteria which are capable of doing the photosynthesis have invaded into the earliest eukaryotic organisms and existed inside the eukaryotic cell, and then later it is evolved as a separate cell organelle within the eukaryotic cell, and it is called as chloroplast. That is what the theory says. And with reference to the other organism, which is another heterotrophic organism which produces energy from organic resources, those kind of bacteria have invaded into the eukaryotic cell and resided inside the eukaryotic cell and became a mitochondria. So, this is what the endosymbiont theory says about both the evolution of mitochondria as well as chloroplast. So, the theory says that they were originally once bacterial cells which were capable of producing energy as well as which were capable of producing doing photosynthesis, have invaded into the eukaryotic cell and became the cell organelles of a eukaryotic cell. So, biologists are giving convincing evidences in support of the theory of endosymbiont theory. For example, the mitochondria and chloroplast are very distinctive cell organelles within eukaryotes. Their structure, function as well as organization are more similar to that of bacteria. They have their own DNA, that means no other cell organelle have their own DNA except chloroplast and mitochondria. Even this DNA, this genetic material is similar to that of bacteria, which is naked without any cell, without any nuclear membrane, and it is circular in shape. These two cell organelles have ribosomes that are similar to prokaryotic ribosomes, 70S ribosomes, whereas the cytoplasm of eukaryotes has ATS ribosome, but only these two cellular organelles have ribosomes which are close to prokaryotes. They have a double membrane and inner membrane which has proteins similar to that of prokaryotes. So, the protein assembly of the mitochondria as well as chloroplasts are similar to that of prokaryotes. They are roughly the same size as bacteria, and more interestingly, both these cell organelles, mitochondria as well as chloroplast, are inhibited by the antibiotic chloramphenicol. Chloramphenicol is a broad spectrum antibiotic which kills almost all bacteria, but none of the eukaryotic cells are killed by chloramphenicol, but still the mitochondria as well as chloroplast can be killed by chloramphenicol like any other bacteria. They transcribe their DNA, that means they have a separate transcription mechanism, and they use separate mRNA to synthesize some of their own proteins. So, they can only be produced by division, that means binary fission, while the eukaryotic cells have a reproductive mechanism, sexual or asexual reproductive mechanisms, but still this mitochondria and chloroplast, they have a reproductive mechanism which is exactly similar to that of bacteria, which is called as binary division. So, all these factors suggest that the bacteria once lived in the ancestral period have invaded into eukaryotes and became the cell organelles, mitochondria and chloroplast. Having understood the theory of endosymbiont theory as well as the quorum sensing communication system in the bacteria, I would like to say that if it is possible for a bacteria to invade into a eukaryotic cell to become a mitochondria or chloroplast, the orchestrated behaviors among bacteria through quorum sensing one day or other day in the later period may result in the evolution of newer life forms. So, with this thought to think, I conclude my lecture. Thank you.